and that may become the best case scenario now.
Yeah.
All right, joining us from Capitol Hill, Republican Congressman Randy Neugebauer, Deputy Ranking Member of the Financial Services Committee. Thanks for joining us, Congressman. Congressman, could I start out? Could I start out with if you'll tell us, sir, did you vote in favor of TARP 1?
No, actually, I voted against it twice. You know, the first time and the second time. I just was not convinced it was the right prescription to move forward. I felt like it picked winners and losers. You know, I still don't believe that it's accomplishing the goal that we really need in our economy right now.
Congressman, what do you think of the breaking news? I don't know if you heard us just come across with it, that the White House says that the second half of 2009, that's where the economy is going to come out of recession. Unemployment going to stay at 7.7% on average for the year. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I think there's a lot of uncertainty right now. I think if we take some steps to stimulate the economy in the appropriate way, I think we can get a quicker recovery. Whether we can do it in the second half of 2009 or not remains to be seen. But I believe some of the proposals that are being laid out right now will not help us get to that goal.
Congressman, let's talk about TARP 2, $350 billion. That becomes the second tranche of the $700 billion original TARP. Is the $350 necessary, given the fact that Barack Obama has now asked for upwards near $1 trillion in stimulus and infrastructure spending? Do we need both, sir?
Well, I think that's the best question that anybody's asked about that, because really what we have seen unprecedented amounts of money that have been thrown at this. I mean, we're not just talking about $700 billion in TARP money and nearly $1 trillion in stimulus. When you look at what the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, and the Treasury has done, commitments of nearly $5 trillion have been directed towards these markets and these economy. And we need to really stop now and say, you know, is what we're doing working? Because we've already made a substantial bet. And so one of the things that I said on the floor of the House this week is it's probably time to stop, reflect, analyze what happened to the first 350. There were some intended and unintended consequences of that money. And then look at coordinating what we may do as a Congress on the stimulus package with the additional TARP money. But this is money we don't have, and we're going to go print this money, and we can't tax and spend and borrow our way out of this. The American people know that. I just wish the United States Congress would get that message.
Sir, there's news coming out now that U.S. Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson is now talking about having the U.S. government setting up what he's calling an aggregator bank, sort of along the lines of a resolution trust corporation that would take these bad assets off of the bank's books. Do you think that would work?
Well, you know, we tried that with the RTC back in the 80s, and, you know, got mixed reviews. We are nationalizing our financial institutions. It's a great concern to me. Nobody's really articulating what the plan here, and more importantly is what's the exit strategy, because what we're seeing is the market's trying to adjust to this new player in the markets called the Uncle Sam. The problem is down the road when somebody blows the whistle and says it's now time for Uncle Sam to leave the room, what will that do to the markets? Building our markets based on government propping it up on a daily basis, and basically that's what we're doing. Every day we see if somebody's about to fail or go out of business, and we run in and try to prop them up. I don't think long term that helps the economy.
You know, Congressman Representative Barty Frank says that TARP should be much more strict. This next $350 billion there should be much more oversight, in particular with regards to executive compensation. Do you think that means that a lot of top talent at banks and potentially other companies that take TARP money will leave and not run these companies properly with government money underneath them?
Well, I think the real question here is there's one thing to do oversight, and there's one thing to impose the government running these companies. I don't think anybody thinks that the government would do a good job of running private companies. I think they would wish that Congress would focus on how we're running the government. So I think we have to be very careful there. Should we have oversight? Yes, and that was the reason I felt like we needed to stop and not authorize the additional $350 billion so that Congress could have some time for oversight, let the new administration bring a new plan to the United States Congress, show us what the plan is, how they think it'll work, and then be able to look at measurable results as we go along. The only way you can do oversight is if there's a plan and you can measure the results of that plan.
Well, Congressman, we're going to leave it there. Enjoy your weekend there in D.C. It's going to be certainly a lot of fun. A lot of parties going on this weekend.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Congressman Neugebauer. All right. How will President-elect Barack Obama use the remaining TARP funds? Peter Barnes joining us now from inside the Beltway. Peter?
Well, hey, Cheryl, after the vote in the